Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge and welcome to another channel member sponsored video. So at least once a month, sometimes I try to do it more, I put up a poll in my community page for my channel members who are romantic renegades and above, which is romantic renegades and faded friends, and they get to vote on a video that they would like to sponsor, a video that they would like me to prioritize. Because here's the thing, I have a lot of video ideas. I don't always know if some of them are good ones, and I don't always know like which ones I should get out first. And so that is one of the fun things you get to help me decide when you are a channel member. So definitely check out the link down below or check out the button wherever it shows up, whether you're on your phone or computer, if you are interested in that. Supporting my channel helps me continue to make all this wonderful content for you. So enough of the self-ad. Let's go ahead and dive into this video, which they picked, which I'm not surprised that they picked, and that is Best Grovels. Now, there are this is mostly men. There is one, I think I have one woman on this list because there aren't too many romances where the women are having to grovel. Let's just be real. It's usually the men that have fucked up and need to fix things. And that's usually what, women authors are writing is, the men groveling, because we enjoy it. We enjoy a good grovel. Now, these grovels are at different levels. I'll tell you how major I think the level of grovel is or not. Some of them, maybe there could have been even more groveling, and some of them, maybe the men have to grovel for too long and we're just like, get over it already. And that opinion is going to change from person to person. But these for me are all books that I consider to have a pretty good grovel in them, and I felt very satisfied by either the grovel or the continued pursuit of like forgiveness, because in the case of a couple of these, it more had to do with like explanation of what was going on, and some of them it straight out is like, I fucked up really bad. Now, some of these, it would also be a spoiler if I tell you what the grovel is, and some of them, it's literally in the setup, like what the grovel will be. So, okay, enough of those reasonings. You guys trust my recommendations by now. Let's dive into this. We're going to keep this one a quick one then. So, the first two books I have are actually in the same series, and they have very different grovels for very different lengths of time, but I think they are both significant. And that is going to be the Twisted series by Huang, specifically Twisted Love and Twisted Hate. So the first one here, Twisted Love, this was a fun book. This was a fun book. This one is kind of sorta on the edge of a dark romance. If I had had the man cover, the sexy cover, you can tell it ran a little darker. I don't feel like the second or third book ran quite as dark as this one did. But this one, Alex Volkov, is Ava Chen's brother's best friend. And he also becomes kind of her roommate when her brother, where does her brother go? Her brother goes somewhere to another country or something, and they end up being neighbors. And now he has some vengeance that he's working on, and Ava has some nightmares and some childhood trauma, and they just, when her brother is removed from the situation, things escalate, and Ava kind of takes it on herself to, like, she's seeing if she can crack Alex's like tough demeanor. Alex is definitely a little bit neurodivergent. He might even be a little bit psychopathic or sociopathic, just a little bit. And so they end up having some very hot situations in here. And then the grovel in this situation comes about when said revenge that Alex is going after affects Ava's life in a pretty dramatic way, and he must go about an extensive grovel. This one I would consider an extensive grovel. Not all of it being on page though, because there is a bit of a like time jump near the end that shows the extensive grovel. I know that's a horrible explanation, but you'll just have to deal with it. And then Twisted Hate, which, whoa, hello, almost twice the size. This one is about Josh, said, brother from that book, and Jules, who is Ava's best friend. So this one is best friend's brother. You see how we do that? Switching it up. And now these two have always kind of hated each other since Ava and Jules became friends, and Josh saw Jules as being trouble that his sister did not need in her life. They end up in a forced proximity situation when she ends up doing I think it's like an internship or something at the hospital where he works. She's doing it for being a lawyer, and he is in, I think, like residency at this hospital, and they end up having to work together, and this becomes an enemies with benefit situation. And Jules has a secret that she's been keeping, and when, you know, things are looking pretty good for her and Josh, something happens where she messes up, and Josh takes his anger a bit too far. In my opinion, he takes it too far. And then he has to walk it back and do some groveling for Jules. This one, in my opinion, could have used a little more time in the way that one did, because Josh made me quite upset. He made me very upset in how far he goes. Not everyone felt that way, I understand. And I did still love them together a lot. Like, I really love them together. And I think that's why his anger bubbling over hurt me so much, is that I thought they were in this really beautiful place. But the grovel is there. It's beautiful. I still believe them together by the end of it. And I really love Anna Huang's writing. And I cannot wait for Twisted Lies is going to be the last book. I'm very excited for that. Then we have the Casanova by TL Swan. This one is about Elliot Miles. I know you're not used to me showing the Casanova because it's usually the Takeover that I'm holding up, because that's my favorite book like ever. But this is a pretty damn good book too. Okay? Elliot Miles and Cate, what's her last name? Does it say what her last name is? No, because of course it has the first person point of view for the blurb, which I hate that. But Cate is the name of our heroine, and she is, I think, like the IT woman, one of the IT women at his company, and they have this like hate to love boss employee situation going, and they but see, Elliot also has this fascination with this artist that he has been interested in for a very long time. And putting like that aside for just a sec, the relationship between these two, the way that their romance builds, their caretaking scenes in here, I just really loved how their chemistry was. TL Swan does really great chemistry that you can just feel it on the page just bouncing off at you. But again, there is said artist that he has been obsessed with, and we've seen it in the past couple books. Like, he tries to buy like every art piece from this artist. And there's a certain situation involving said artist in this book where Elliot makes a decision that pissed me off. No, it's not cheating. So I'll just put that. I would not be okay with recommending this book if that's what it is. But it is a big emotional blow to Cate, this decision that Elliot makes. And, you know, it's one of those ultimatums where, like, if you go do this thing you're going to do, then we're done, you know. And of course, this leads him to have to grovel to get Cate to take him back. And I think he does a pretty epic grovel. This is another case of me of like, so I think you'll probably see a pattern with me. Like, groveling romances, I really like them, but I tend to like them better if the thing that they've done happens very early on in the story, so they have like a long time to grovel, and like the whole book is about the grovel, which you'll see more of that in some that I'm getting to. But when the thing that they do bad happens so close to the end, and then like their grovel, like, it's still good, and obviously these are my favorites of those. I tend to be like, I don't love a third act grovel. I like more of like, it's the point of the story. Does that make sense? We'll get to it. But this was still like a 4.5-star book for me. It was just also never going to live up to the Takeover, and we just have to be okay with that. But I'm very excited. The 4th book in this series just got announced, The Do-Over, and that will probably come out in August. She hasn't officially announced a release date, but her Montlake books usually come out in August. and I will be ready for that because I'm excited for Christopher's book. All right, then we have one that a lot of this book is a grovel. And so we have Carnal Secrets by Suzanne Wright. This is book 2 in the Phoenix pack. Or is it the third one? It might be the third book. Yes, I think it is. Either way, I really enjoyed the Phoenix pack. I haven't been able to really like other books by Suzanne Wright. And yes, I've tried them. Because this series really worked for me, and then other books that I read by her really started to feel like replication. But we're talking about this one. So this one is about half shifter Shea Critchley. And she is, she's a half shifter, and she is a submissive wolf, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. In the pack, there are alpha females and alpha males and submissives who all fit where they are supposed to fit within the pack. The problem is she is the mate to Nyx Axon, who is currently an alpha for a different pack. And he does not want to be mated to a submissive wolf, or that's what we hear anyway. There is a lot of other stuff going on in Nyx's pack and things that are happening, but when he discovers that Shea is his mate, is his mate, he initially rejects this situation. And so Shea, the more that she's coming in contact with him, it hurts to be rejected by your mate. It physically hurts you. And because she's submissive, it hurts her even more. So at the end of a previous book, she had actually left her pack and went to live as a human. And at the beginning of this book, Nick is hunting her down, and so I don't want to spoil it, but I guess I could. It's one of the other reasons why is that he believes that he has a degenerative brain condition that's going to kill him. So that's right on the back. So I guess it's not a spoiler. And so it wasn't just, oh, you're submissive. That's what she's thinking. So we'll put that out there. He's not that much of a dick about why, but he doesn't want to fully mate with her because he believes then when he dies, what happens is if you're with your mate and you lose your mate, you can go feral and go crazy and murder other wolves and stuff and have to be put down. But if you never mate with your mate, you never find your mate, you would still be very sad and lonely for your life, but you wouldn't go crazy. So it's this thing where he's do I mate with her, we have a couple of years together, and then I die and she dies, or do I just stay away and she could find someone who she could still mate with and just not be fated mates with. So anyway, this whole book is him deciding that he's going to pursue her, and even though she's resisting him, he's going to win her over. So I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. This was a 5-star book for me. Even though, again, the thing about Suzanne Wright that really ended up turning me off of her, but didn't bother me when I was just reading this the first time, is she does a lot of bitter exes, both male and females. And I'm not a fan of the bitter ex-girlfriend or bitter ex-boyfriend. Not my favorite thing. Then we have a Mafia here. We have Deviant Hacker by Maggie Cole. This is a bit of a bait and switch because I don't believe that you should just pick up Deviant Hacker. If you don't know, I love the entire series, and this happens to be book 9 in the series. So I'm kind of a bitch for doing this. I do believe that you could start the O'Malleys with the O'Malley books, which start in book 6. But personally, if you want my honest opinion, you should read all of these books. They're amazing. But Deviant Hacker has a very interesting situation. This is one of her few, really big age gaps in the series, because a lot of the books in the series are age gaps, but all the characters are, in their 30s and 40s. So it's, age gap. Who cares? This one, we have a man who is 42 and the heroine is 21, and she's a college student who's been taking these random hacking jobs for this online group that's paying her. That's not sketchy at all. And she doesn't know that these hacking jobs she's being asked to do are fucking with the O'Malleys. And so we have Declan O'Malley, who he is sent to, find out who this hacker is who is fucking with them. And it happens to be this girl that he tried to pick up at a bar. So he thinks that this girl is this much bigger mastermind than she is. And so he kidnaps her and puts her in his basement cell and starts using sexual torture on her and a bit of a daddy kink along the way. And she honestly has no idea what he's talking about. I mean, she knows she's doing the hacking job, but she's literally doing it to make like supplemental rent money, not to tear down a criminal enterprise. So things get a bit awkward for everybody. And once Declan becomes aware of what he's done to this innocent college student, he basically wants to rip his beating heart out and give it to her. And our heroine, who her name just totally fell out of my brain. Sorry, one second. Simona. She has to decide, like, if there is actual feelings for him or if she was falling for this man because he was sexually torturing her. And she was like, I don't have any other choice. What a pickle we're all in. But really, like, when it clicks into place that she's being used and they're all being manipulated, dude is ready to, like, burn himself. It's really beautiful / it kind of sucks at the same time. Then we have one other Mafia one that I'll show you. And again, this is one that you can't just read randomly. Sorry. But it is The Bully, which I have fully marked up here for you. This is book 3 in Kingmakers. You have to read a lot of books before you can just read this book. But I don't care because I'm always going to pitch Sophie Lark and I'm always going to lay it down there. This book is about Dean and Cate. And I know some people don't say who the heroine is, but I don't care. I'm going to say who it is because Cate, just saying the name Cate doesn't mean anything to you until you're like in it anyway. But this one is like, she wrote this series for Dean because it was her Draco Malfoy redemption story. So Kingmakers is like Mafia Hogwarts type of thing. And Dean has been our bully. The title. He tried to kill the main protagonist of the first book, who is his cousin. And he tried to steal his girl and just all these things. And in the beginning of this book, he is blackmailing our heroine because there's something that she did that he knows about, and he wants to fuck with her because he can, because he's a bitter boy who life has not been fair to, and he wants to make someone else feel small. And so he strikes up a deal with Cate that he will only hold it over her head for a certain amount of time if she gives him complete submission, both sexually and in life, is basically his slave for, like, is it 1 month or a certain amount of days? I can't remember how many days it's for, but it's for a certain amount of time. And they embark on this very interesting relationship, this sexual dynamic, this emotional connection. And I really loved this because literally their, like, sexual connection, which starts as a way for him to dominate her, but Cate is also into it at the same time. Their chemistry kind of shocks them. Like, it scares them how attracted they are to each other. And so what starts as something for Dean to manipulate her with and for him to feel powerful quickly turns into this dynamic that they were just not expecting. And when something goes wrong in their relationship, irregardless of the, the sexual deal that they made, Dean does a grovel that is amazing. And it's a turnabout is fair play type of grovel, which I don't want to spoil it, but if you remember just what I said, what he made a deal with her to do, I love it. I love Dean. That is why this is tied for my favorite Sophie Lark book, and I've read pretty much all of them. And that's why Dean is my precious boy. That's why he's my precious boy. Love it. Love it. Then we have one where it is the girl finally. Here's the one where it's the girl. This is The Earl I Ruined by Scarlett Peckham. This is book 2 in her Secrets of Charlotte Street. And this one is about Lady Constance, who gossips, and she ruins the Earl of Althorp's, I cannot pronounce these names, entire future with her gossip column. And so she does what is honorable, and she offers her hand in marriage. So this is her trying to make up for blabbing. She hears some information about the Earl and she blurts it all over the place and it ruins things. So this whole book is her trying to make up for it. And I don't really want to say anything else. And him introducing her to some new sexual experiences. So there we go. I love that. We have another historical. We have Lady Isabella's Scandalous Marriage. So this is the one where, like I prefaced in the beginning, that some of these are more of like an explanation of what's going on. And this one, we have our hero, Mackenzie, who is an artist. And 6 years ago, when Isabella was only 18 years old, she eloped with Mac. He was an artist, and they had 3 years of this turbulent marriage, and then they had a loss in their lives, which, I mean, spoiler alert, but like, it's a trigger warning, so I'll tell you, they lose a child, they have a miscarriage, and Mac is drunk all the time. He is addicted. He's an alcoholic. And she leaves him, and it's very like bold and loud, and he refuses to get a divorce from her, and he's now back and is going to try to win her over again. And this book is really about, like, is Isabella willing to trust him with her heart again? And it's a very, this book is very beautiful. I love a second chance, or a marriage in trouble. I have another marriage in trouble I'm going to share here too, where, like, especially when it was hurt by addiction and loss, just how tough it is to put that back together and to reestablish trust. And I think Mac goes about it in some very beautiful ways. And to know that he isn't the only one who did something wrong too. You know, they were both very young and impulsive and thought that love could handle anything. And like, we do say love can conquer all, but you also can't just have love. Like, the love can overcome a lot, but you also need to be able to communicate and share what your issues are, or the love will only take you so far, if that's what you do, right? So then I just have a couple more to share here. Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey. This is one that I haven't been able to recommend in a long time. I loved this book when it came out. I ugly cried. This one is also a marriage in trouble. And this is a case of two people who just are not able to communicate on the same level anymore. I have a man who is providing for his family and thinks that that is all that is needed. They have their, you know, weekly sex time of the month, and that is when, you know, the chemistry is happening. And he feels like we're having our weekly sex date, so everything must be okay. And then we have our heroine who feels like her dreams have been absolutely stifled. And since her husband has come back from the war, and this isn't completely like a PTSD situation, it's just part of too of like that training where like you keep everything inside. She doesn't talk to him. She doesn't feel like he loves her anymore. And yeah, they have great sex, but sex was never their problem. It's the communication. And so and again, like, this is another one where like they both need to communicate better, but it is a case of like the heroine has a lot of hurt that she is imagining, not like imagining as in it isn't there, but like she's imagining because her husband, her hero, hasn't reassured her and hasn't encouraged her and isn't helping her blossom in the way that she wants to. And so that can be just as damaging as so many other things. So highly, highly recommend. I really love this. Then I have a fanfic to recommend, Remain Nameless by HeyJude19. This is a very long fanfic. There is an audiobook for this. It is almost all the way completed because ETL Echo does it on Spotify, and they put out a chapter like once every 2 weeks for this. I listened to a good half of it and then I read the rest of it. But this whole book, this book takes place over like 7 years. And basically the whole book is a Draco Malfoy redemption. I have a theme apparently. But this one, it takes place like after the war. Him and Hermione keep running into each other at this Muggle coffee shop because it's near the ministry, and like he goes there because he's trying to like reintegrate into the world, and he starts with the Muggle world because nobody knows who he is there, and Hermione always stops there because it's on her way to work every day. And so much of this book is literally a grovel / redemption for Draco, because he wants to make amends for what he was a part of during the war. So loved it. There is Storm by Serena Akeroyd. This is part of her MC series, but she did also write this so that it could be read as a standalone. And I actually did read it as a standalone because I've only read the first book and a half in her MC series because I don't really like MC books much at all. But I heard about this when I really wanted to read it because this hero in this book is a sex addict. And that is a very interesting dynamic, illness to read about in a romance novel where he cheated. He cheated on his wife, the love of his life. And it's an addiction. And the things that he's doing to make up for it, some of which being physically punishing himself, wearing a lock on his cock that only his wife holds the key to type of situation. It's a very good grovel. This book is a all the way to the end of their lives book. So know that. It's an HEA, but we see them at the very end of their lives too. She really wrote this as kind of like a bubble book. And listening to her talk about it too, because Serena was on my channel, she actually kind of wrote this book because she was pissed off. Because she always meant to have Storm's story be revealed. But she wrote it a lot sooner than she meant to because there was people saying, I could never forgive Storm for what he did. He's a horrible person. He's disgusting. Why is he seen with any sympathy at all? And it made her mad because she was like, you're not getting it. You're not understanding what this addiction is. Because, we do. We've read books with alcoholic or with drugs or with, other things. But what is being a sex addict mean and what traumas led to it, and then from the side of his wife, how would you forgive someone who didn't cheat on you because they don't love you, but cheated on you while loving you because their body literally, he cheated on her, It was a tough one. I cried a lot. But the grovel is definitely there in this one. And his love, you just will feel it. I don't recommend this for everyone. This is also very dark. Check the trigger warnings for it. And then the last one I want to mention is the reason that I was doing this video, because I finally read this book. It's been recommended many times by viewers, and I always meant to get to it. But I was waiting for there to be more books in the series, is part of the reason why I waited, because this whole series is going to be a grovel series. But here we go. I read The Tyrant, Alpha's Rejected Mate by Cate C. Wells. I have only ever read Run, Posey, Run by Cate C. Wells, even though I want to read her biker series. I'm willing to try her biker series. But this is what it sounds. We have an alpha who he hasn't been alpha for very long. And usually as soon as a female hits puberty, her mate will be able to recognize her. And in this case, our heroine is a disabled heroine. She has a twisted leg. She has a limp. She's very weak. She's actually never transformed into her wolf self before. Her wolf has been dormant. And so she is the lowest of the low in the pack. And this pack dynamic is just so different than a lot I've read. It really reminded me of a Viking colony, the way that it was set out, and they have this lodge where they would eat at, and the alpha's at the head table. And one day, our heroine, she is, like I said, she's in the lower, so she's serving food, and one of the females is humping up on the alpha, and her wolf awakens and bursts out. And it's not this big, powerful wolf. It is a small, spindly, injured wolf. And so the female wolf who is humping up on the alpha, she beats the shit out of her. She shuts it down because she's not strong. She's not strong enough to do it. And the alpha is like, what are you doing? You can't do this. And she tells him, she's like, you know what happened. And he's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. No, because he's not feeling it the same way as her. And this isn't how mates show themselves. And so he rejects her and has her removed because she has made a scene and been very dangerous. And he's like, what the fuck was this girl doing? And so he spends the rest of the book needing to make up for what he did. And it's very satisfying. It's very good. But I cried many times because there's just hit after hit to this girl until we finally start to get some answers for what's happening. So there you go. There you go. There is like 12 books with excellent grovels that I would love for you to try. Let me know what some of yours are. I have made this video before as well. I'll make sure it's tagged up there somewhere. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to my channel members for sponsoring this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.